when it happens, you got to capitalize and put in more work even harder.
I make sure that I got my ducks in a row before I announce anything, and I make sure that if I fail, it's gonna be on me.
It's a fact, and there's gold producers and platinum who are literally cooking up beats on an iPad, on GarageBand. So what VSTs and what equipment are we talking then,
I used to chase placements. I would rather make beats for my friends and come up with them and grow with them.
When it comes to luxury, I think of having the luxury of time, of freedom, of choice, of, like that's a luxury to me.
Check, 1, 2. What's up with y'all? You already know it's your boy 215 Guy Beats, aka Streets, aka you already know this. Producer's new favorite podcast, Let Me Rap With You. You already know. Another new year, another new episode, you feel me? Now I had to thug it out with a little cap this episode, Got the headphones going over a little weird, but we'll fix that throughout the episode, but whatever. But you already know this podcast is sponsored by Demolier. Thank you, Drippin'. You ain't dripping until you come shop with us. Make sure you get my guy Smash 215 at Demolier Shop. That's DEMOLIR, no underscore or none of that. Shop. You already know how we doing this. And of course, this podcast is sponsored by Major Loops. Looking for placement-worthy samples, loops, 808s, drums, claps, snares, hi-hats, hoping hats, midis, you name it. Shout out my guy Roy Lux, majorloops.com. You feel me? Great kits, great prices, always. Enough said. You feel me? And of course, this podcast is sponsored by No Rival Shop. Sound like that. Sound like the cat was trying to get in here. And of course, this podcast is sponsored by No Rival Shop. Shout out my guy to mine. You feel me? Make sure you go shop on norivalshop.com. The new Burning Piece collection. Or, of course, the Last Knife collection they had, the art collection, the mystery box, $11 tees. Do I need to keep going? Shout out my guy to mine. Make sure you go shop at norivalshop.com. Sounds like the cat wanted to get another cameo. Y'all already seen him in the Going to November episode. Seems like he wanted to get another cameo. He wanted to interrupt the sponsor segment. You're not supposed to interrupt the sponsor segment, but it is what it is. And if he keeps doing that, I'll just let him do what he do. Ever since that episode, he always want to be. Ever since that episode, he came in at one time. Now he always wants to get the spotlight. So, you feel me? But lately I just been, doing a lot of stuff, especially with this like transition and everything. Transitioning from, FL Studio to Akai, and as I do call it a transition, I still do use FL Studio to, do certain things, but, 99.9% of the stuff that I really need to get done, I can just literally do in Akai now. So, it's just fucking awesome. Like this whole transition, like, man, like I make it like literally from the beginning of the podcast, I was just talking about making beats on the phone. Now I'm actually doing that shit. Like it's crazy. So. And that's actually been one of my favorite pastimes. Like just making beats while I'm at work, especially during the slow holiday hours. But, other than that, man, hopefully it's a lot of new things to come this year, man. A lot of new things. But honestly, there's not even too much capping tonight on this episode. Not even too much I'm going to give for the intro segment because, we're actually on a schedule. So, but I have to, and I got to rant with y'all a little bit, you feel me before that. So, but we actually about to send them the link now. So, let me see. I'm about to send the link now. And, I'm going to say it like this. We were talking about digital marketing last season. with the mind. So, this is going to be one episode for the books because we're about to enter back into that world, which is another reason why I'm not even giving y'all too much for the intro segment, because we actually giving y'all some gems outside of the music world tonight. So, and it actually involves everything with the music world. So, he entered the room now. So, Garrett say mine's is connected. My audio is connected. Can you hear me, bro?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hold on. See if my headphones is connected. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Now I can hear you. I think it was my headphones or some shit. I don't know what the hell that shit was, but y'all already know. Let Me Rap With You podcast. We got special guest and representative of the 808 wave. Abhi, what's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going, man? How you been?
Man, it's great, man. I haven't talked to you since the Mix by Fuego conference, man. It's actually great having you on this podcast, man. Definitely was long awaited to get you on here, man. So
yeah, of course.
But before we even get into the way I do things, for those who don't know, the 808 wave is probably what I'm gonna say is one of the hottest digital marketing teams out there right now. One of the hottest. And y'all don't get enough credit for what y'all do every day for these creatives. So, while we letting y'all learn, I'm actually going to let you start it off. I want you to explain how the 808 wave actually started, because when I came into the picture, you guys were already like way on board with conferences and, meetups and everything. So how did it actually all start about?
Yeah, of course. So I do have to mention, so I have a co-founder, his name is Beck. We're both students at Georgia Tech. We met freshman year in the Woodruff dorm, and, we were really lucky to be on the same floor and have, really similar mindsets in entrepreneurship. So freshman year, we just worked on a bunch of different companies, different startups, like non-music related, different ideas. And, by the end of the year, we were like, okay, 808 or the 808 wave is like the idea that we're the most passionate about. Let's go and solve this problem. So the first year we were founded in May of 2019. And the first year we spent really just learning about the ins and outs of the industry, learning about the problems and frustrations of our different potential consumers. Yes. And, we've been hosting events as well to kind of engage with the community. So like you mentioned earlier, we've been doing like networking events, studio sessions, virtual music meetups since COVID. We've also been doing like producer tournaments. But our main thing that we're really focusing on is developing our app, which we're going to be releasing or beta launching next month in January. So that's something that we're currently really focusing on.
Congratulations. That's actually something I didn't even know under the nose with the app. Congratulations on that. Wow. But, and speaking of frustrations, because that is definitely one of the key factors that, we definitely need to address, because, a lot of, even if the creators, because I'm not going to say there are some creators who know their way in the game before they meet certain people and some who don't. But even the ones who do, like you said, the frustrations of the game, even the ones who are knowledgeable, who are trying to like maneuver and everything, like you said, they're going through certain frustrations of the industry themselves. So, what are like a few of those things that, that you have noticed in the industry that, artists should try to like maneuver or, should be able to dodge, especially with this new and independent internet era of technology and, creativity?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I see is a lack of education provided by certain platforms and just in general out there. So artists, producers, independent creatives, they don't really have the right information. The resources are there. It's just the connection piece between the creative and the resource is fundamentally broken at the moment, in my opinion. So like, for example, there's a lot of confusion about how to collect your royalties, right? And that's one of the biggest things that, as a creative, as a business person, that you should know how to do. And there's just so many different opinions, so many different concerns regarding that one topic, that there's just a lack of knowledge surrounding that topic. And, I've been talking to so many creatives about just how to collect your royalties, and there's just so many things that, they don't know about it that they should.
Well, with my little bit of knowledge and you being on this episode, we can actually give a little conversation about the breakdown, because I was actually explaining this on my Twitter recently that 2021 I want to be collecting everything the right way, because what a lot of creatives don't understand, it doesn't matter artist, producer, no matter how you distribute. When you distribute your music, a lot of creatives, they mistakenly assume that when you distribute a song, that's automatically your royalties. It doesn't work like that. Now, distribution, that's just one source, which most music companies, they will call it a DSP, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
They will call it a DSP. But a DSP and royalties are still two different matters of the fact. So, what's the easy way that you can tell them, like, how to really break this down into two different factors?
Yeah, I can give like the four basic steps that I kind of give everyone. So the first step, obviously, is to register yourself with a PRO. That stands for a performance rights organization, or
Yep.
PROs. And
Yep.
for example, those are your EMIs, your ASCAPs, your CSACs. If you're in Canada, it's your SOCANs. Basically, what that does is it registers you as an official songwriter in the music database of their database of the world, right? And what they do, they collect your performance rights royalties on the composition side, on the publishing side of your record, right? So there's two sides of your record. There's a composition, which is also known as the publishing, or there's the master, which is known as the sound recording, and both of them generate performance and mechanical royalties. And there's different organizations that collect them. So the second step, like you mentioned earlier, is to sign up with the independent distributor, or if you have like a distribution deal with a label, that's also applicable. And for example, some independent distributors are DistroKid, TuneCore, Ditto, United Masters,
Amuse.
Yeah, of course. And they collect your mechanical royalties on the master recording side. So whatever you generate through streaming, that's like your mechanical royalties on the sound recording side. They collect that. Now the third step is to sign up with a publishing administrator, or commonly referred to as a pub admin. So for example, Songtrust is a very well-known pub admin out there. And basically they're collecting your mechanical royalties on the publishing side, I believe. So they're collecting those royalties, and those ones are like generated around the world. So Songtrust has relationships with different countries and different PROs in different countries, so that they're able to then collect those royalties. And then the last step, the fourth step, is to register yourself with Sound Exchange. Basically, they collect royalties that are generated from, for example, radio like Pandora, Sirius XM, basically where the user doesn't get to choose how they pick their music.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Sound Exchange mainly collects those royalties.
That's crazy. I at least I know about Sound Exchange now, because that was probably the last piece that I didn't know. Like every other piece, I literally just learned probably like within the last couple of weeks. But Sound Exchange, wow, that gem was definitely a great one. So, like you said, like breaking down all these factors. Another thing that and like you said, another important part that a lot of creators get misconstrued are the ways that payments go. Now, a lot of people think like, okay, you sign up for these pros, you sign up for these distributions, you instantly get paid. It actually doesn't work like that, because I know with certain pub admins, certain pros, it takes time for not only for your name to actually be put in the database, but once the content itself is actually put out there and it's actually stamped, that itself also takes time. So I think we should actually break down like how some of the payments work too. So, artists don't get discouraged when they feel like, oh, I'm not really making no money off of the music, when they really are.
Yeah. So are you saying more on like the streaming side, or just more on the metadata side, or?
I would more say like metadata, like with the pub admin side, because they'll see the royalties once the Amuse, they after you upload the song, you'll see the payments 3 months and then every month after that. And DistroKid, everybody has different payment rules. But most people understand with the DSP side, but with the pub admin, some don't understand. And I always take this line from Sonny Digital. He said it in his song First Call. He always said, shouts outs to BMI, first 9 months, you ain't going to see a dime. And a lot of people don't get what that means, but that's a very important, factor.
Of course. So I don't know the exact dates and the exact timings, but I would say, there's the music industry is so refined that every single piece of data that you enter on your record about yourself, if there's one typo, then the whole process will stop for you, right? Like every single piece of information needs to be right in order for you to receive your royalties and receive whatever you deserve. Because at the end of the day, no one's gonna come knock on your door and be like, here's a $5,000 check, right? So every single piece of data that is out there that's about you or whatever music, your body of work needs to be correct for you to be able to collect those royalties. And let's say for example, you're missing one piece or there's like a typo, right? Mm-hmm. So the royalties are still being generated, right? They're just unallocated or they become what we call retroactive royalties. And what that means is they're still able to be collected. They just don't know who they go to, right? So after 3 years of these royalties being generated, they go into what they become black box royalties, or they go in the black box, if you've heard of that. And basically what happens with that is it's estimated to be like around $2 to $3 billion in uncollected royalties. And after 3 years, this money gets redistributed to the top market share owners. So the top 3 record labels, the Drakes, Taylor Swifts of the world, are actually collecting all this unallocated money out there.
And even though they didn't make the song, they're collecting the royalties.
Exactly, because
that's just crazy.
The metadata isn't correct, so they don't know like where the money should go. Yeah.
Now you know what? Before we even continue, anybody who was getting at me about bitching about metadata on Twitter all 2020, now I have the perfect reason. You heard this. Yeah. Now I got a reason to keep bitching at y'all about having this metadata, because the one thing that, not even just me, and like, first of all, shout out to Amuse, because like, I don't know how DistroKid works. I only collect DSP royalties from other clients who I've worked with who give me splits. So I really can't say how DistroKid works. I just know they have great tools. But with Amuse, they make sure that they give you the tools that no metadata is missing. So, and as much as I hate to say it, like you said, metadata, one thing that I had said last year is when you're working with a creative, as weird as it sounds, knowing their real name, knowing that kind of information is important, because when you're putting that metadata down, like when if people look at my song Top of the World, that's out, shout out to JC, Wu, Ron Woods. If people see the metadata, not only do I have the producers and all that, but I also have all of our names in the metadata of, each writer, because, I pay attention to how they put their names regularly on Spotify and Tidal and everything. I pay attention to these things. So when I see them do that and I'm working with these collaborators, I go back, I look at their information, like, okay, what was the names exactly? How they put it? Okay, they put it like that. And then boom. So then when people search them up as a writer, my stuff will pop up, their stuff will pop up, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I said, this is just another important piece of why metadata is important. And also, like you said, does that also work for the production side as well? Because I know that works for writers because of composition, but does that also work for the production side as well?
In terms of the royalties?
In terms of, I would say the pro and the publishing, because I have gotten DSP splits even with their mistakes on the metadata. I have gotten DSP splits, so I really can't speak for that side. But for the publishing, the pub admin, and like, say, for example, like, people who are going into song trust and all that, if the producer's metadata is incorrect, would they wouldn't receive the royalties as well?
Yeah. So I think the producers, they need to register themselves, like their own pub admin. They need to have their own account on Song Trust to collect their royalties. So they need to go in there themselves, make their own account, say, okay, these are the splits. This is, all the metadata related to the record, for Song Trust to go and collect it for them, because Song Trust is only going to go and collect, like if the artist makes the account and they put in all the splits or whatever, they're only going to give the artist like what they deserve, right? They're not going to give them the money that the producer would also deserve, or whoever else is on the record. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely important if you're not just the artist, but anyone else who's involved in making music to go and make their own pub admin and be registered with a PRO.
For sure. Now, we know how that works in the digital world, as in, because a lot of, we'll say 95% of creatives, they work from their computer nowadays. Now, I'm going to say there's a small collective of bands, I'm going to say like bands, instruments, classical people who still play live instruments, who still do orchestra, who still possibly write their music. So would they be able to still somehow be able to copyright their music digitally? Or would they be able to only do it with the master recording?
So I'm confused. Are you saying they're only like performing, or
like let's say for example like a live performance, or they actually go to a studio and do the song live and not through a computer? So how would they get their rights? Would they actually have to just do it digitally through the recording?
So from my understanding, if you're performing live, what you can actually do, I think your PRO should have some form of paperwork where you can tell them, hey, I performed here at this time, and you submit it to them, and then they'll look into it, and then they'll pay you like the royalties for that, for your performance. I mean, if they don't have anything out on digital streaming platforms or the digital service providers, then obviously I don't think they'll be collecting royalties there. I mean, if they're only doing like physical stuff, then I mean, they're only going to be collecting, physical assets then at that point.
For sure. And that was probably like really all the gems that, I really wanted you to like sauce them up with when it comes to like, the rights and knowing how the metadata was important. But the one thing that, I've done my research with, the 808 Wave on is that not only are you guys great with putting out content in every way, whether it's an Instagram post, whether it's a tweet, Facebook post, no matter what it is. I also noticed that with the content you guys give out, you also give out helpful information with everyone. Like, for example, when it comes to posting content or when it comes to engagements, it's these little things that matter to y'all that's important. So what made you guys really just say, hey, let's, just be on these socials and just give all the sauce, to the public, What made y'all, just put yourselves in that position to really just give back to the community like that? Because, a lot of people are definitely learning from you guys. I hear from a lot of creatives that, the 808 Wave just off of tweets, I've learned a lot of stuff. So what put y'all in the mindset of just like, giving back to the community?
I mean, I think that's just how Beck and I have always been. We always, ever since we met each other, we're always like, okay, we have an idea, like we want to build a big company that will impact, 1 billion people, or, really, really help people in a way that they need, whether that's in this case in the form of education, or, we want to be this company that just is out there helping people. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, it's all about the consumer, or just the consumer, right? It's all about them and what matters to them and how we can best provide value to them. That's why we're creating this app. That's why we built this company. That's why we want to do this for the rest of our lives, is because, of how much we know we can, help people and help achieve their, definition of success and bring them happiness as well.
One of the first testimonies that I heard, before I even heard about you guys, and I actually just got a placement with him literally a month and a half ago, Pally Ray. When me and Pally, this is before the placement and all that, before he even copped the beat, all that, he always spoke highly of you guys. Like all the times we would just like have regular talks in the DM. We'd be talking about marketing and stuff. And I always would tell him like, bro, I'm not the best at marketing, but I see you be talking about the 808 Wave a lot. And he said like, yeah, I definitely, need to, learn and get with them more. And, I have noticed he was in the Song Trust conferences, because I was actually supposed to come for the Song Trust conference, but I actually I had to go to the studio that night. So I had to miss out on the conference. But, I had seen he was in there. And, I had noticed since then he had, stuck with you guys for a minute. So, what's your relationship with Pally?
Yeah, Pally's the homie, man. I first, personally, I first met him on the Sound Advice Atlanta tour when he came to Atlanta. That's when I first met Pally, and then, like both of us being Indian, both of us being in the same business, having like similar tendencies, we kind of just hit it off, and we've been really good friends since. He performed. I think he performed at our first show that we hosted back in February of this year. And he's an overall great guy. He's really smart about his when it comes to business and how he makes his music and who he works with. And I feel I can't wait to see how he continues to grow and where he is in the next 5-10 years.
For sure. Honestly, with each song he dropped, and he just keeps going up and up and up. And honestly, like you said, February, that was honestly a month, because Private Carnival dropped in November. But to keep it honest, we had the song since, when did the pandemic really start? I'm gonna say March. I'm gonna say probably March. We had the song since then, but after that show, he was just excited. He was just ready. So it's it had to be something with you guys. Because ever since that show, like I said, he just been doing more, just been excited. And like I said, man, I'm happy for him now. And I'm glad to be a part of that process. And, like I said, to be a part of this whole circle, because, a lot of people, they were sitting there. I didn't really tell them because, a lot of people, they like to, I don't give free sauce like that. But I had posted the screenshot when we had the conference with Fuego. And a lot of people, they were wondering, it's yo, how'd you get into that? And I said, it's just all off of, like you said, just being there, engaging, being there for the people. And like you said, that's why I really started following and keeping up with y'all, because I seen that y'all were down for the cause. Not only with just conferences, not only with just shows, Spotify playlists. Every month I hear people, the 808 Wave just got my streams up on their new playlist. So
That impactful? I didn't know it was that impactful.
Like I said, I pay attention to the smallest things on on Twitter, on Instagram. People may not think, but I see these things. So people like y'all, people like, Caviar Music and everything, it's people like y'all that really, give us that hope, that really give us that, that extra strength. So, what are some of the things, like you said, besides the app? And, what are some of the things that you have planned for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2021 for the 808 Wave?
Yeah, so the app is really the main product of the company right now. So we're actually going to be slowing down a little bit on the marketing and the event side to really focus on honing in on the product and developing it. That's what we're trying to put more time into. We're also really on Clubhouse as well, if you've heard of Clubhouse, the new app out of Silicon Valley. And we have a club on there, and we're on there every day. We have a room, talking about different topics. It's really similar to the conferences or the meetups that we have. So, you can meet Grammy winners. There's so many influential people on this app, and we talk about metadata management, royalty collection. Engineers being underrated. What else? Mental health in the industry. Different topics that are really important to the culture and to the community. So that's our plan for 2021 at the moment.
You actually just brought up a major factor that has rarely been talked about on this podcast. Mental health. Yeah. That has to be spoken on. Yeah. People really, honestly, we do so much. Me, you, the millions and millions of creators, whether it's consultants, whether it's bloggers, it don't matter what field they're in. Like I said, people work hard for this shit. Me, you, everybody. People work hard for this shit. And a lot of, the fans and, those who, even the ones who love us so much, we don't talk about our mental health enough. What we really go through, and that strain of just what really blocks our creativity, that strain, that like some of the stuff that we go through in life. So like, you know, are you going looking into like having some like, you know, mental health like programs and stuff as well for the you know, for the company later on, like 5-10 years?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to count anything out, but yeah, I would say it's a possibility.
Gary say if you need you need help on that shit. Look, 5-10 years, I think I could work out a little game plan for that, because honestly, mental health, and that's something that I'm not gonna say that I still struggle with, but it's something that it gets the best of us. It gets the best of us, and you know, sometimes I wish everybody can just like go somewhere to where it's like, because like sometimes like counseling, and there's no offense to psychiatrists and stuff, but I feel like you have to sit in the room with people who understand you. So if we have like mental health programs for musicians, and we actually have experienced musicians who've been through mental health, who overcame mental health, somebody like Wale, I'm just putting out a prime good example. Like, he be like the head of some company, and he have like these couple of guys that, you know, that will talk to people, like not just about what they're going through in their mental life, but music too, and how they can really overcome both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that's really not, you know, talked about enough. So, you know, going through some of the, you know, things and milestones that you've came through with the 808 wave, you know, have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the journey, right? You know, at the end of the day, music is just another branch of entrepreneurship, right? And they don't really teach, you know, how to be an entrepreneur in school. It's something that you have to learn on your own, and it can be a hard road for sure, you know. So there have definitely been times, you know, in our lifetime as a company where, you know, we definitely struggled. We've had to deal with, you know, certain issues, whether it's like consumer based or, you know, it's like personal based. But yeah, it's a part of the process, and it's always going to be there. It's all about developing the mindset, right, to deal with that at the end of the day.
For sure, for sure. So I'm actually going to get into a couple of Q&As before we exit out, you know, the podcast real quick. I'm actually going to get into mine first because, you know, I got a couple of people that asked a couple of good questions, but this actually isn't a question. This is actually a topic. Preparing content. Something that a lot, and I'm going to put myself in this statistic. I'm not better than nobody, because I'm going to put myself in this statistic too. Preparing content. Something that a lot of us really don't do. But people don't understand preparing content also helps you beat the algorithms and platforms. Whether it's Spotify pitching, whether it's getting your music out there on certain dates or everything, because, you know, a couple of things that I've learned from a couple of creators is that they drop on certain days, not because they, you know, because they wanted to choose that day, but because they got the content done at a certain time. They knew if they did it during this time, they drop it around there. And then, you know, that's when the algorithms really start kicking in. So, you know, what's like an algorithm gem that you can really give like the audience, whether it's a producer, whether it's an artist,
Yeah.
no matter what they're doing?
So I think you spoke on something really important, and it reminds me of something that Denzel Washington said in one of his speeches. And he said, "We don't plan to fail; we fail to plan." And it's really important that we all plan, you know, and that plan is never going to go 100% our way or correct. If you know, quotations aren't correct or the right way. And with that in mind, it's all about how can you adapt and be flexible, right, within that plan. So if you want me to give like a specific algorithm gem, I can talk about TikTok, right? TikTok is right now it's like one of the ultimate platforms to gain exposure, to branch out, to drive traffic there, from there to your other platforms, right? To your website, to Spotify, to Instagram, to Twitter. And from my research on TikTok and from what I've been kind of posting on TikTok, I found that TikTok gives every single video that you post an equal chance, right? So you post a video, it'll show it to people, some of your followers, it'll show it to some people that aren't followers, and it'll gauge, you know, it'll see their engagement on the actual video. and then it'll show to more people, obviously, if more people engage with it, et cetera, et cetera. So what I've seen is 15 to 23 second videos with an 80% plus watch time, and a like or a comment or a share will, obviously be much more beneficial for your video. And at the end of the day, it's really about what kind of content you're putting out there, right? Like, how creative are you really being with your content? Like, for example, there's a Conch official on TikTok. So he's been doing like a lot of remixes, or, filling in like, oh, what if I was on Lemonade, or if I was on this song, that kind of song. And he's been inputting his own lyrics. So he's really developed. He was like one of the early ones to do it on TikTok. So he was able to grow really fast off of that. And it's just about like, how creative can you be with your brand? Like, can you stay true to your brand? How creative can you be with your content, and how it incorporates your fans as well? So that's just like one thing I mentioned. Yeah. Honestly,
I'm glad you gave that gem, because the other addition that I'm gonna give to that gem, and I found this out from a good friend of mine. He just posted it on Twitter. People want to be known about payouts. And, we've talked about some of them. We talked about Spotify. I've talked about them on the podcast and stuff. And of course, they put the charts out, but they never put out the chart for TikTok. Now, a friend of mine, he just earned 1 million streams off of one of his songs on TikTok. His payout was about 32,000, which I think counts as the highest payout out of any of those, platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody who is interested in getting into TikTok, or for anybody who already has a DSP who has their music on TikTok, if you really want to get your content out there, like he said, if you really care about your content, you really want to get some streams up and really get your numbers up, go for it. Because TikTok is there. It's the wave. And like you said, I don't see TikTok going. Is that weird if I say that? I just don't see TikTok going. Like, yeah. I see TikTok like really beating all these platforms soon.
Yeah, the social media space is in a weird place right now, where you have it's a major shift, right? Snapchat is, added a certain TikTok feature as well on their Explore page. They're looking for a way to monetize. Facebook is kind of getting a little old, social network wise. Right, so they're trying to turn into like an ultimate one-stop shopping experience. Twitter has like their main product has been like the tweet for like a decade now.
They just started the fleets, so they're still working that out.
They're also bringing out audio rooms as well, so they've started rolling that out to a few of their consumers. And yeah, the social network space is kind of in a flux right now, because there's so many people on Clubhouse as well. Voice is going to become super prevalent. But yeah, you just kind of have these different platforms kind of taking different features from each other, trying to see, trying to capture market share at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And TikTok will be here to stay for a little bit, but it has kind of lost a little bit of its steam in a way. And that's just probably because, before it used to be this platform for like teenagers to get away from their parents. And then since the parents kind of came on, now they're kind of shifting to like some other platforms. So, it's all in flux in my opinion right now.
Yeah. And then I just heard about this, what's this app called? Vertigo. Because a friend of mine, he did a live stream of his album release on Vertigo. So I see a lot of people on that one now too. So, like you said, it's in a flux. It's just so much going on. Mm-hmm. But speaking of marketing, one of the things that you guys talk about on Twitter a lot when it comes to marketing, a secret marketing, of course, Jim, that enough of people don't comprehend. Mm-hmm. I had to slow that down because, like I said, some of y'all don't comprehend. So I'm going to say this nice and slowly for some of y'all. Collaborations. Mm-hmm. Some of us are still making a name. Some of us, like you said, some of us are still building that brand. Some of us are still coming up. You being a person that's in the world of, marketing and networking and knowing how this works, Can you let the people know the importance of collaborations?
Yeah, collaboration is super important, specifically for our brand, for any brand, right? If you look at, people that have collaborated with, other whether it's companies or people or, features, their fan base or their audience or their reach has grown much more than just posting on Instagram, like making a post or tweeting, right? And a big part of that is because they already have their own audience that they've built up, right? Like, let's say, for example, let's say we almost have 8,000 on Instagram right now. So let's say we go find out someone else that has 8,000 on Instagram and we be like, hey, look, why don't we do like a partnership or like a giveaway, collaborate on some sort of event? Then we're tapping into their, 8K audience that we won't have. And they're also tapping into ours. So it's also about being mutually beneficial to each other. So, people have their own audience, tie that in with their audience, and, you just expand your reach like even more. And you make a new connection as well. You make connections. And you never know who that person knows at the end of the day as well.
For sure. Man, like I said, man, these are just like, like I said, like I talk about this stuff in the podcast all the time with the other guests who also explain the importance of collaborations. But I feel like this episode will, it's like, okay, like it's nothing more that, that we can say because it's like people know the 808 wave, or at least my following. Most of my following know the 808 wave. And, for those who are coming to us. But, and I'm going to say this, before we exit out the podcast, if somebody was sitting in the studio with you right now and they were about to walk out and you can give them one final gem, it don't matter if it's an artist, producer, and I'm actually going to ask one last question after this, but what will be that one gem that you can give them if they walked out that studio? They got to run with that one gem.
Be yourself and have self-awareness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that one. Self-awareness. Ooh. Dang. That's the first time I heard that one, like on a spotlight topic, self-awareness. Mm-hmm. That's something that, we don't have enough because like, I just started getting aware of like, I actually took a little social media chill for a little bit because it's like, like I said, I started being aware of like, how I post and stuff. And like, now I want to change up, how I be posting and stuff because I don't want to just, keep posting rants and all that. I want to also start posting like, actual more content. So being self-aware of your brand and being self-aware of your flaws, and your mistakes and all that. Because me being a person that was stuck in my ways, I was that person before. I could say that like 2018, like around that time-ish. Could say I was stuck in my ways type time. So like, I can definitely say like self-awareness is definitely a big part of not just your brand, but, if you're going to be in this industry.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially being aware of the people around you.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, the last thing I was going to bring up, because I almost forgot. Like I said, we talked about so much stuff that the 808 Wave has done. And I almost forgot to bring up one of the most important things that producers can actually start getting into after they hear this episode, once it drops. Mm-hmm. Your producer beat battles, because I know you guys do them every now and then. I wanted you to kind of break down, how the beat battles go. So, future producers, if they want to, submit and get in and everything.
Yeah, of course. So the past 4 months, we had them every 2 weeks on Saturday. So we would bring, myself included, we would bring, Grammy nominated winners, people with like accredited producers, artists to judge. And we would limit it to 32 producers. You can submit up to 4 beats. And we would do, if anyone knows soccer, we did like a Champions League type style where we had like a group stage first. So every single producer gets to play 3 rounds and they're put into a group with 3 other producers. So you play, you play the other producers one time in the beat battle. You play your beat for a minute and then, people kind of judge you and give you a score. And then the top 2 producers from each group move on to the knockout phase, mm-hmm. where they go head to head on an elimination style, single elimination style, and then we give like a cash prize, way to like the top 3. Some of the other judges, they'll contribute like sample packs, or they'll give their time for like a one-on-one consultation type thing. So yeah, that's kind of what we were doing this past year.
All you said was sample packs. I gotta get in the next one. All you said was sample packs. Like, I wasn't even thinking about the money once he said sample packs. I said, wait, sample packs? Oh no. Like, I'm a chaser for sample packs. So if anything, if I don't win first place, shit, I gotta go for that sample pack prize. Shit. That's one thing. Like, I'm not, I like having fun in competition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't gotta be top dog, so plus it's so much, like, I'm 27, so it's so much up and coming young talent in the game. Shout out to my guy Vanish Beats. That's definitely somebody who I gotta shout out. But it's so much up and coming talent. So especially once some young producers start coming in the beat battles, ooh, that's gonna be a challenge for me. These new young producers, they fast, they learning fast.
Yeah.
So, but it was great having you for the podcast, bro. And it was great that you dropped these gems, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna take everything that you gave and actually put it into their everyday career and actually be like, wow, like I really need to start taking this seriously. Because like even me, like I'm listening to certain information, like, wow, certain things that I really gotta start looking at. Like you said, self-awareness. Like I'm aware of, like, dang, like some of the shit he said, I gotta get on that. But y'all already know it's your boy 215 Guy Beats, aka Streets, aka you already know this. Abhi, thanks for being here, bro. Bro, I'm grateful. This is one of those like grateful moments, so it's hard for me to be hyped. But y'all already know. Make sure y'all follow the 808 Wave on all social media platforms at the 808 Wave. No space, no underscore, no none of that. It was great having you, bro. Hope to see you at the next conference, the next beat battle.
100%.
And we out of here, bro. Peace.